Executive Assistant Alex.
Present.
Trustee Files.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Trustee Belakapitsky.
Present.
Trustee McGivern.
Present.
Trustee Viera.
Present.
Trustee Leota.
Present.
And Attorney Legnard.
Present.
All present and accounted for. We have nothing for public forum. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Everyone has a copy from our meeting on June 20th. Does anyone have any corrections? If not, could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. We have no communications. Appointment, we'd like to extend the appointment of Acting Chief William Rice for another 6 months, until 12/21/22. Chief Parker is still out. Gonna be a determination made on him within the next couple of months. So, we'll move from there, but, I have to say, Billy Rice has done an amazing job in the police department. He's quite an asset, so, you know, when God gives you lemons, you make lemonade, so we got good lemonade here. Could I have a motion to extend the appointment until 12/21/22?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is the approval of claims. Everyone has a copy. Does anyone have any questions? Between Maggie and Michelle, we can answer just about anything, I think. I got mine answered earlier. If there are no questions, could I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is the police activity report. Everyone has a copy. Could I have a motion to accept?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is the fire department report for May and June of 2022. Rick pointed out last month we were missing it, so we got 2 months this month. Could I have a motion to accept the 2 months of the report from the fire department?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is the submittal of the month report by the treasurer. Everyone has a copy. Does anyone have any questions? Everybody must have done their homework. If not, could I have a motion to accept the monthly treasurer's report?
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of the monthly report of the Parking Violation Bureau. Everyone has a copy. Could I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorization for the mayor to enter into a contract with Albany County Soil and Water Conservation District for a $20,000 grant for the Payne Street Park Conservation Improvement Project. Mag, do you want to comment?
Sure, so we submitted for a grant at the beginning of summer to remove all of those blacktop sidewalks, really that go to nowhere in the park. So we'll be taking out those and replacing it with just seeding it. So we were awarded the grant. It does have a deadline of December 15th. So we'll be moving on that as soon as the summer program is over.
Anyone have any questions?
Is that all that's being done, just removal of sidewalks, or?
Yeah, it was just for conservation purposes, so we were very limited on what we could use it for. So any surface area that we could take out and replace with grass.
Any impervious area
Yeah.
that you can take out and
Impervious
groundwater
that you
can
can-
go in
yeah.
is included in this, so.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, could I have a motion to authorize me to enter into the contract?
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Next, now we're on to the good stuff. Next is a presentation by McFarland Johnson and Louisi Companies on the proposed Factory Town Development Project. As you recall, we put out an RFP a while back, and actually they were the only ones who came in with an RFP. So we're not making any decisions on anything tonight. This is just kind of an informational thing for the board and the public so that they can understand the project a little, because it's changed a little bit since we started.
Yep. Good evening, my name is Adam Frasino with McFarland Johnson Engineering. I'm the project manager for the site civil design on this project. With me I have Chuck Profundi from Louisi Brothers and Alita Gaida from Couch and White. So we'll do, as the mayor mentioned, just a quick overview, and if you guys have any questions, that's kind of the intent, we can answer anything going on. For those of you who aren't familiar with the site, this is Cannon Street. We're at the very north end of Cannon Street where the Mohawk River and the Hudson River converge. Former Ford site does contain some contamination. It does also contain a known bald eagle's nest. So the site design originally had some single-family homes coming in and then a bunch of multifamily homes within. That has been morphed and changed over time due to some of the regulations that Chuck will talk about in a little bit. But in total, we've got 307 units shown here on the concept plan, and that's a mix of, let me just make sure I get this straight, the rectangle buildings, I know it's kind of far away from you guys, but the rectangle buildings are the 30-unit buildings. The square-shaped buildings are the, I believe, 10 unit. And then the smaller rectangular shaped buildings are the 8-unit buildings. So you can see there's kind of a mix of them throughout the site. Tried to keep the impervious surfaces down using the access road also to access the parking areas. There are some wetlands that are hatched in these areas that would be maintained. A proposed bridge going over the wetlands. We do have required buffer spaces around that bald eagle's nest. The 330 feet that there can be no impacts at all, and then the 660 feet where you can have temporary impacts during construction. So we're allowed to put permanent features in there, but there will be restrictions on time of construction and things like that for anything in this art area. We do have a walking path, try to go along the riverfront, as well as a clubhouse in the back, again along the Mohawk riverfront. Flip it around just so you can kind of see an aerial view of what it looks like today. We are also proposing that the site be subdivided. Should have done this on the other side, but this red dashed line, I'll just go along with my finger. It goes like this, is the subdivision line. That is because the northern portion of the site has different levels of contamination that would then be going to the brownfield program, and the southern site, the southern portion does not. And that line was kind of modified to avoid buildings and go along kind of the roadway. I guess I'll turn it over to Chuck just to give a little more overview on the brownfield program that we're going into.
Absolutely. So like Adam had stated, you know, when we originally went in with the development RFP, there was with some due diligence done, researching on the property, pulling files, FOIL requesting things, and then once we actually won the development RFP, we went deeper into the weeds on some of the different, you know, hurdles that the property was going to have. Some of those hurdles were, you know, we did find a deed restriction from Ford Motor Car, which restricted about 11 acres. It's actually reversed to what Adam said. It's the southern portion that was dirty, the north portion that was clean. And what that deed restriction did was it was restricted to industrial use only. And with the development RFP, we're proposing residential. So we met with DEC, and as DEC stated, you know, when they go into brownfield or Superfund programs, they like to work only with one end user, which is typically a developer. So what that ended up happening was it eliminated the use of single family homes on that 11 acres. They didn't want to have to go into contractual agreements with multiple single family home users, because it just gets into the weeds of kind of being a legal problem and a health and safety issue if those measures aren't maintained and those agreements aren't held. So we then went back to the drawing board. We tried to find another use of the single family somewhere on the property, but you were getting more into the multi-family portion of the development, which we don't think we'll be able to sell the homes if they were kind of in the mix of an apartment community. So we eliminated those, changed the proposal of, you know, one large, well-manicured Class A community, not as dense as Starbuck, more spread out, like we just recently completed in Rivers Ledge in Niskayuna. So we have 3 different building designs, you know, probably 2 or 3 different color renderings that we'll have on those buildings. It won't be your cookie cutter apartment complex. You'll have a change in architecture, change in landscape, make it look more like a residential, subdivision, housing complex. Other things like Adam had stated, we found the bald eagle's nest, dug into the regulations. We're following all state and federal regulations on buffer spaces and construction areas. There's also about 200,000 yards to bring in to be able to bring this property out of the floodplain. And there's various irregular boundaries for regulated floodway boundaries as well that we're going to be up against. So another difficult piece of property to develop. And we're starting to get specialized in that year after year, but I think this will be a beautiful community and have a really good end state for Green Island, just like Starbuck did, with a different type of demographic, different type of outlook, but still maintaining that quality. Anybody have any questions on the brownfield stuff?
Is it now brownfield, is it just apartments or is it gonna be businesses also like Starbucks?
Just apartments, no commercial use, but, we kind of looked at that and during the post-development RFP, when we were trying to massage this and, talking with some of the government staff at Green Island. And what we think here is this community, with the outlook here, will be able to support the commercial corridor that Green Island already has. To try to introduce commercial here, it's not really got that storefront visibility like George Street does or like Starbuck Island had. It's a little bit off the beaten path. So our hopes are for the commercial anyhow is hopefully it will, support the commercial that exists.
Commercial myself,
Yeah. So we did try to make use of our clubhouse in a location where it had that nice beautiful view, right where the Mohawk meets the Hudson. We have this little triangular area here, which was also going to be part of the property acquisition. That would be for tenants only, but an amenity outlook with community gardens and a dog park, just to kind of give our tenants some space to walk their dog over there. For those that don't like dogs, they don't have checkered spotting all over our sod like we battle all the time at Starbuck. So give a dedicated place for the dogs, and also a lot of our residents have been requesting community gardens to be able to get outside and kind of run a little garden club. Any other questions? Yes,
That
sir?
yellow line on the picture there, does that represent a wall?
That yellow line represents a walking trail. So,
Walking trail?
Yes, sir. And that hasn't been finalized yet with all the regulatory agencies. Depending on what will be allowed with some of the bald eagles and some of the environmental folks. This is concept, but once we get into the weeds a little more, that may take a change where we have to kind of build that outside the 330 feet here from the bald eagle's nest.
Will you be installing a wall like you did on Starbucks Island?
It shouldn't be as much wall as Starbuck Island, but we are hoping to be able to grade this off at the topo design. But depending on how some of these regulatory floodways are, there will be isolated wall runs and wall construction. Yes, sir?
Chuck, is this right across from Silhouette or before you get to Silhouette?
It's right across, so we pretty much, where the DPW entrance is.
Yeah.
It's right where the DPW entrance is, where the old concrete pads are.
Right. Oh, okay, thank you.
Now I'm all confused. The DPW entrance, I thought this was Silhouette right here.
That's Silhouette, yeah. And
Oh,
then
okay.
the entrance, like across from Veteran Memorial Drive.
Oh, okay.
So that's
All
where
right, yeah,
that's
yeah.
his Veterans
Snow and
Memorial
stuff,
Drive right
okay.
here. Yep, and then this is
All right, I know what
the
you're
old
referring to
driveway.
now.
Yes, sir.
Is the waterfront gonna be accessible? Is there gonna be docking space? Is there any plans?
We don't have any docking space proposed. One of the things at Starbuck Island that we learned is, there wasn't a huge demand for docking spaces, we thought. We have some folks that use the docks the first year. We have Spirit Hudson, who's interested now in taking some dock space for like school tours and senior tours. But we didn't get like the rush of people. It's not really a recreational section of the river where people are tubing or jet skiing. It's more sportsman fishing with the striper season. So we don't have any type of dock systems, but the walking trail would be open for the public, no different than Starbuck Island. you see a lot of
It's also
people.
very close to the falls and the hydro plant, and the less
Yeah.
marine
Well, that's what I was
activities we
thinking.
have there, we'll
We're
have
gonna
less
have to get
people
an
going
extra
over the
boat,
falls.
you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna add in the topography's a little bit, steeper on that, and as Chuck mentioned, with, the floodway, there's a regulatory line on a map that you can't really touch, and that would be where.
I walk there a lot, and I do see people kayaking in
Yes.
that area.
Yeah,
That's what I
once
was
in a while,
wondering, if you're
yeah.
making any kind of use of the waterfront, because it is very close to the dam.
Yes, yeah, right now we're not, and like Adam said, from an engineering perspective, there's a lot of grade change, almost like 10 foot tall at a minimum, right, cliffs. And, you know, as Alan stated, there's
How
some.
many total units when complete?
307. And these will be priced at a more closer to market value than Starbuck. So we're planning on them still being very high quality, right? But not as luxury as Starbuck. You'll hit a different demographic, just a touch lower than what we did at Starbuck.
Now, at the northernmost end of your project there, where it almost meets the bridge, there's a heck of a drop off there.
Yes, sir, and those are those
Is there any
towboats.
safety features being thought of?
Yeah, so we'll, you know, wherever those walkable spaces are, we'll have some type of railing design, like we did at Starbuck, or like we're doing at Rivers Ledge. So there's code minimums that have to be made for any type of drop-off that will follow on those landscape buffers, et cetera.
But Gary, to answer your question, you can't fix stupid, so some people are still gonna go out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I know that. But I just have visions of some
No, I know.
kid going over,
Yeah.
cause it's quite a drop.
It is, yes, sir.
So you have two accesses to Canaan, is that those two, okay?
Yep, we have the access at Silhouette, and then we'll have the access at Veterans Memorial.
Now, the second one's right across from, Eyeglass,
Yes,
okay.
yes, sir.
How many stories are each building?
So the 30 units are 3 and everything else is 2-story. Clubhouse is 1 story, maybe with some nice gabled ends. We're working on architecture right now, so, you know, hopefully in the next coming planning board meetings, I'll be able to start introducing renderings, floor plans, kind of give everybody a feeling on like massing and what the overall depiction is on the architecture. Have some different color renditions of where we think we're going with it.
The idea of doing the presentation tonight was to give the public and the board just some idea of what's being proposed, and like Chuck said, you know, once you get into this, things can change. You know, we thought we had 1-family homes, and then DE said, no, you can't do that. So each agency that gets involved with us kind of reshapes what our ideas are, so we have to be fluid with it. But this gives everybody a good basis to start thinking about questions and concerns, you know, that you may have with something, so we can, you know, get it all on the table. But I have to say, it's the same thing here as it was with Starbucks. I'm 20 years as mayor, and I can't tell you how many people, you know, came in and were interested in Center Island, and as soon as they found out the contamination, they were out the door. Pete Luisi is the only person who's ever come in here and said, I know how to do that, and I think if he knew then what he knows now, he might have run out the door. But he didn't, he never backed down, he promised what he was
That's
gonna
gonna
do,
be,
he did it, and that is an amazing development over there.
That's a jungle there.
And I have every right to believe that he's gonna do the same thing up there, so. He's a great guy to deal with, and so is Chuck, you know. We have any concerns, we go to them, they answer our questions and adjust things if there's something we're concerned about, and they're great people to work with, so.
Yes, sir.
Is this basic idea gonna be released to the newspapers?
We don't ever release anything to the newspapers unless they grab it. The last time the Albany Business Review released it was actually taking the public knowledge from the RFP and then wrote their own story. Sometimes when they'll call us, we'll make sure that their facts are straight before they write a news article, so we'll at least talk to them a little bit, but we won't personally release any of this to the newspaper.
And Tom, there's nothing approved here yet, this is all just proposals,
Yeah,
so.
this is a 10,000 foot view, and like Mary Ellen said, we'll start working on a lot of the comments from the regulatory agencies, the TDE that Green Island secures, and, you know, the boards. And McFarland Johnson's worked with us at Starbucks and numerous other projects, so we'll be able to work through those technical comments, aesthetic comments, and hopefully make something that's beautiful again for
How
Green
much
Island.
is the project?
Right now, would estimate maybe in the tune of 75 million.
And then just to chime in on kind of next steps, so far we've submitted, the concept plan, our traffic impact study is completed and has been submitted to the village for review. But as Chuck mentioned, we've got some other studies and engineering to still be worked out, some of the grading and drainage, but wetland delineation has been, flagged and delineated, and a wetland delineation report has been created. However, that, you know, still needs to be submitted to regulatory agencies, so will some of those lines change? Probably not, but they're still, we're early on in the process, but we're soliciting some feedback now and just keeping everyone in the loop and being as transparent as possible, so.
Normally what happens with us, with the PDD is a proposal is made to us, we refer it to the planning board, that's what we've always done, and they have it reviewed by Clough Harbor, and then the planning board goes over it, and then the planning board makes a recommendation to us. So, that's what our course is going to be, so it's gonna be a little while, but we're trying to get it moving so we can, there's so many moving parts in this, I'm telling you, we have these Zoom meetings and my brain is scrambled when we get going because there's so many different things involved in it, and they're moving and changing all the time, so. But we've got good advisors and great people to work with, so I think we have another beautiful project coming here. Like I said, this is probably the last big project because we don't have any more land, so. But thank you very much, guys. If nobody else has any more questions, we'll keep going.
Quite interesting.
Thank you.
So tonight is consideration of the acknowledgement of the receipt of the applications for a PDD for the proposed Factory Town Development Project. We just need to get can I have a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the application?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of authorizing the Village of Green Island to act as the lead agency for the proposed Factory Town Development Project. And this is a seeker thing. I don't know, Mag, if you want to explain anything on it, or?
No, I think, yeah, this is just we have to declare, or an agency has to declare lead agency in order to move forward with the seeker process so that Louisi companies can take the next steps forward.
Any questions? If not, could I have a motion to authorize the village to be the lead agency?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. On other business, we have consideration of the monthly recap from the GIPA and DPW for June through middle of July. The guys have been pretty busy. They're busy every day. You see them out there. Does anyone have any questions or comments? If not, could I have a motion that we accept the monthly recap?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Board forum. National Grid is supposed to be starting tomorrow? On Tibbetts Avenue?
On Tibbetts Avenue.
I'll take a picture if they actually arrive.
I have to tell you, Maggie has been dogging them at least twice a week for 3 months now. They did come back and fill in, so I don't know why they milled when they did, because they didn't have a set date. They told us that they only have the milling equipment at certain times, but we told them either you start or you gotta fill it back in again, because while it helped at the intersections, we still have stuff all over the roads going into our sewers, and you just can't do that. So I wrote a little note to the fella last week, and he responded quickly, and he said, we'll be there next week. So hopefully they're gonna start tomorrow. And it's supposed to take maybe 6 weeks, Mag?
Yes, they said 3 to 6 weeks. I would err on the 6 weeks at minimum. We have an alert going out first thing tomorrow to alert, drivers of traffic. It definitely will require traffic delays and street closures. They will provide all the signage and flaggers when necessary. But But I think this week we'll just see them getting set up with their equipment, laying down the area, and then I'm not sure if we'll see actual construction, but it will be happening, and now, you know, it will require some patience from drivers and, you know, for a few weeks, but we'll get through it.
We will, we always do. Does anyone have anything from the board that they would like to discuss? If not, our next meeting is Monday, August 15th, same time, same place. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? And it's carried. Thank you very much, everybody. And it is nice to see your faces again.
Yeah.
And not have to say, who made that motion?
Yeah, right.